Hey there, everybody. So, 6 weeks in Indian country, here we are. Is the sky falling yet? Certainly feels like it. Are we in Termination 2.0 era yet? Sort of feels like it. Slowly, not as subtle as they did back in the 1950s, where Congress passed legislation to terminate Indian tribes before that practice finally came to a halt, before we finally entered the self determination era under the Nixon administration. We're in a strange place right now. It's not a good place. But Doge and the Trump administration's cuts have come to Oklahoma. Some of those cuts have directly affected Indians, Indian country, Indian tribes. At least 6 agencies, BIA agencies. The Indian Health Service was on this hit list. Now, my understanding with the Indian Health Service that it looked like that was the Oklahoma City area office that they had listed on there. My understanding is that HHS and GSA has been in touch with Doge and that they are getting that rectified or reversed because that should have never been on the list. And also, it was not the area office; it was actually their drug supplier, their drug distribution center, not the area office. But nonetheless, can't operate the Indian Health Service in the Oklahoma area without your drug distribution center. So it's just real crazy. I mean, some of these cuts are really haphazard. Are they specifically targeting Native Americans and Indian tribes and trying to reduce the federal government's trust responsibility? It certainly feels that way. Uh, Today we had a staff meeting. We talked about some of those things, and one of the things that I said to our staff is that Indian tribes can no longer sit on the sidelines. We can no longer sit and hope that this administration is going to do the right thing. From the very beginning, it just does not appear that that is going to be the case. Even when you look at the mass emails that are going out to all federal employees by OPM, those emails are even going out to our Indian Health Service employees, our Bureau of Indian Affairs employees, our doctors, our nurses, our pharmacists, our dentists. They're already underfunded and understaffed. And now they're being asked to duplicate what they already do within their federal job. All federal employees are on what's called a PMAP. They already have a supervisor. Their supervisor has a supervisor. They all have elements that they have to achieve and meet. They're reviewed regularly. Their supervisors know what they're doing. They get graded on a scale of like 1 to 5, with 5 being the best, and whether or not they're doing their job. And if they don't, they're no longer a federal employee. But yet, they're going to have to take time out of their day, I guess every Monday, list 5 bullet points, send it off to Doji Land so they can have some algorithm determine whether or not they're complying with their request to list 5 bullet points. So, and to me, that's just an attempt to get rid of more employees, and they don't care where it's coming from. They say that it's to reduce fraud, waste, and stuff like that. But if fraud and waste and abuse was really their main goal, would they have spent $25 million for Trump to go parade around at the Super Bowl? Would they have spent $5 or $10 million for him to go cruise around the Daytona 500? That's pretty wasteful. That's an abuse of spending money. Certainly doesn't benefit the taxpayer. Certainly isn't making our cost of eggs going any lower. Certainly isn't making our grocery bills go lower. Isn't making the cost of rent or mortgages go lower. Isn't making interest rates go lower. It's not making inflation rates go lower. In fact, everything's going up and the stock market's going down. But, like I said before, in them country, we can no longer sit on the sidelines. If you have the opportunity to work with the Native American Rights Fund, sign on as a plaintiff in whatever regard they may reach out to you, I encourage you to do so. If you have to file on your own, your own tribe, or in conjunction with some other tribes, I encourage you to do so. There's still checks and balances that are still left within our current form of government. The judicial branch, and I've said this before, I feel like they're our last line of defense in keeping the Trump administration within their checks. They don't want to listen to the courts. The strong MAGA supporters don't think that the administration should have to listen to the court. But our government was set up for the sole purpose for there to be checks and balances. If we did not have these checks and balances, we would not have a democracy. We would be living under a king or a dictator, which I hate to say that, but if you look at what's going on with the administration siding with Russia, maybe that's what he wants to be. I believe it is. Gosh, this is rough talking about this. So, in the country, stay strong. We've been here before. We've been through this since first contact, since 1492. We've gone through all the different eras that the United States has had in regards to the Indian policy of how they have dealt with Native Americans, and we have survived all of them. We were here before the United States was the United States. We were here before whatever state you reside in was a state, and we're going to be here long after. So stay strong, keep going forward, watch out for one another, protect one another. Let's all rise together. If you like what you hear and see, give me a like and a follow. I'll continue to keep everybody updated as things come in. Aho.